I was talking to a gentleman who was sitting next to me on a plane. This was a number of years ago. And he asked me, what I did and, who I was. And I'm asked this from time to time. And I said I was a unity minister, and, I explained to the best that I could about what unity taught, that we taught universal spirituality, universal principles. And then he asked me this question, kind of in an accusatory way. What is the role of Jesus here? Well, I'll let you know what my response to him was in just a moment. I've often thought about that question that I was asked by that gentleman that day. And I realized that over time, I've come to this particular realization. Jesus came to free humanity from formal religion. The traditional interpretation of Christianity is that one must believe in and accept Jesus in order for them to have a personal Savior, and therefore they'll receive favor from God. And of course, if you don't accept this, then you know what's going to happen. You're doomed to go to a place of eternity that you won't want to like. And this approach, of course, has alienated many people, has led them to reject anything that has to do with Jesus, that has anything to do with Christianity, at least in that form. Perhaps you can relate. I know that I did for many years in my life. Yet I came to understand later that Jesus neither taught Christianity nor was he a Christian. What he taught was universal spiritual truths that others later converted into a Christian religion. I believe that if Jesus were to take a look at the religion that sprung up in his name, he wouldn't recognize most of it, since little of it has anything or resembles what he taught or what he modeled as a life. Jesus can be summed up in the essence of the teachings when he said that the kingdom of heaven is within you, kingdom being ever expanding good, heaven expanding good. He further stated, I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. As I think about that latter statement, I see in my mind the picture of the laughing Jesus. You may have seen that. And I imagine him telling us, you too can have this joy in your life. You can have it all the time. Now, for that joy to be fully expressed, we must have the right concept of who and what we are. And what we are original blessings of the Spirit, original expressions of Spirit. Any description less than that is misrepresenting our true nature. It's misrepresenting our true being. Jesus lived to liberate our spirit from the restraints of doctrines and dogmas of religion by moving us away from the mere letter of the law. He reminded us that at any time we can have a direct experience of the qualities of the presence of God by releasing ways we may have been taught to reach God. When he said that the kingdom of heaven, which is, like I said, ever expanding good, when he said is within you, he was letting us know something very important. He was letting us know we don't need to go through an intermediary to connect with God, but we have a direct access to the joy of our being all of the time. A young man came to a spiritual community I was a part of many years ago, and he had never been part of such a service before. He had only been to churches that had told him that there was something wrong with him, that he was somehow born flawed. And he pointed out all the ways he was flawed, and the only way that he could overcome this flawedness within him, this flawed nature, was to follow their particular path at those other places. At the end of the service, they had come to the young man said to me that he enjoyed the service and he got a lot out of it, but he said he couldn't come back. And I'm curious, I asked him why. And when I asked him why, he said he couldn't return because it felt so good at the end of the service for him, instead of feeling guilty like he had always felt at those other places that he had been. Well, we don't want to feel guilty when we come and celebrate the presence of God. Needless to say, there still remains a lot of work to do before all of humanity is understanding and is redeemed from this effect of formal religion. But we can do our part by simply living the changeless universal principles and releasing the energy of joy that is freely available to us. Because when we do that, we continue the work that was started by the master teacher, Jesus the Christ. Well, if you found some value in this video, and of course, I'd like you to like it. And if you have your own thoughts about this, simply write them down. Give me your comments, your perspective on this topic. And until next time, know that you can be transformed by the renewing of your mind and your heart.